Meditations in a Year of High Consequence, Part 2, Day 7. And that's the setting sun. And I wanted to say we want to bring this to projects on the ground. And so I'm sharing progress. I'm going to document as we try to just systematically, above board, as intrepid citizens, start trying to take care of business. And I've had some visioning that gives me insights on how to do this. I've set up my life to just dedicate to try to focalize and do some catalytic work like flyers. Can we hold meetings? Get a website. We're defining community based as reintegrating some of our connections to real resource and meaning. And how does that translate into business practices? Other people want to use AI to explain that better. I'm trying to stay close to my own intuition on this because I think I'm more outside the box than even AI right now. But hey, and we get a team to define it. And here we are in a place where there's a lot of nonprofits up there in Tallahassee. The government's there in case we have laws we're thinking about. Um, I would like to talk to Republicans that think if they want to really share the wealth in this economy, they may want to look at what we're trying to do because we're trying to take some of this 3 years of what we got is the spigots have been turned loose. The left wants to slow this down and then do what? We're compromising a situation where nothing's worked out. We're going to go into lockdown or something. Government. I don't know. All right. I have left high ideals, but we got to do it in the real world or it's all crazy and you're trusting bureaucrats and armies to enforce what something has to be closer to home. And it makes you want to mistrust your own government and your own leaders. And why are we in a society where we can't trust our own leaders? And we think of them as the enemy. We think of everybody as the elites. Okay, we can get past that. But it's got to be the people, intrepid citizens leading the way, not just the people. We need some intrepid venture capitalists. I want to talk to intrepid billionaires. I know they're out there. And I'm making this plea right now. I don't know who. Uh, can I get a word? Hey, elites, I'm talking to you guys. Come on, this is how we have a happy planet. And you guys get to keep all your yachts and swim pools, everything you got. Nobody wants all any of that. It's just from the future. We want to integrate it into more responsible use, which means you want to let people in on ownership. That's called co-ops. It doesn't mean that there isn't a leadership and all that, but it's more of a natural, like organic relationship. And people, you do above board. You open the books. There's enough wealth on this planet for everyone, including UFO visitors, if we do it right. There's no need to be hoarding. But that's only if you have people that aren't trying to rip you off all the time. But okay, that's not pointing fingers or looking back. It took all of the basically personal crisis everyone goes through on a daily basis to come up with all these amazing techniques and technologies. And are we going to be so clever with all that we're going to miss the simple things that bring it all home to meaning that even mom knows about and your cat? So, yeah, we out clever ourselves. And all these people talking about AI going to get so smart they're going to put us out. You know what? They're going to run out of power soon if you don't, because AI uses a lot of power, kids. It's no point using it frivolously, trying to sell an extra whatever and shortcuts on all this. We're working too hard trying to make extra money when if we understood what we really needed and worked directly for that in relationships that were mutually like supportive and I can only define the direction. I know that it works because that's how the ecologies of living systems work, and it's been done. But at this level of complication, where we have the whole global economy interlocked, parts of it don't have to change. We got to take the keystone projects that involve our real connection to resource and ground them so people are like more or less responsible for their food and their basic stuff. And then you have all of the what are you trying to preserve in the idea of ambition, the idea of people expanding their knowledge. This is how you get to keep all that, but much more sharingly. And that's what AI is. AI takes everything we know and shares it all at once or mechanically. But we could be doing that so each one of us are like wise to that degree. and we have it in us to be that open minded, and we should be taking it as a challenge. But I think AI is helpful. Uh, but right now, it's making us all want to get off the social media. I think it's the idea that you can't trust anything anymore. I dare AI to try to replicate my rant. But anyway, yeah, let Ronald Reagan AI, also born on my birthday, explain it. It's not that complicated, but it's tricky to pull it off, and it's about not pointing fingers anymore, because then you've got people that are not working together that are trying to stop you from what they think that you're trying to get your own thing together means trying to stop them from doing their thing, and it becomes a competition where we have enough to deal with just keeping up with the repercussions of this whole system gone amok. So I don't mean want to say, okay, can we bring it back? So there's, I mean, look at all the huge cities we're trying to say can be reintegrated into meaningful communities. So you have fractal models. You got to figure out how it works. You're not going to understand it and pass laws. And most businesses have to do what they're doing to keep afloat. So you have to work with, I say, the idea of permaculture, a network of permaculture farms that um, the youth, consumers, if you want to call it, get to work. I mean, where the actual jobs are flex, and there are other jobs involved too. So you get maybe college students putting in some, instead of going to the gym, do a little farm work. That might be, too idealistic because we're all so stuffed to eat stuffed shirts. We don't want to do farming. Is that what's going on? A lot of people, especially in the South, have a lot of acreage could be turned into intelligent use, and but it's difficult to organize that. So the organizing of that is a venture that doesn't yield a profit, but does yield stability and resource and grounding and joy and connection. And that can result in a whole bunch of other ventures where people are starting to work their arts together and, help each other fix their houses. And you have businesses that cover for each other as guilds used to do. And this doesn't affect the higher, the elites and doing whatever, the high end restaurants, whatever. You're not forcing anybody to do anything, but things start adapting to a new order where you have an informed consumer. And one thing is how to reach this whole Z generation that seems disconnected and losing their grip on reality almost, it seems. And so that's why I've been kind of thinking I'm going to get back in there with my music and art. But karmically, I'm saying I'm fighting against carpal tunnel to do that. But these days, you don't have to do a lot to catch some attention and then put some thoughts out there. And we're in a real crisis. So if anything does work, I was trying to get to some of the examples. You can work it on many, there's like this right around here. I can see 7 different outreach, small businesses, black and white or different cultures. There's small businesses of both in this community. There are 2 cultures. They mix somewhat, but not that much, even though they coexist. It's just a fact. Uh, and there's Southern businesses, there's Southern families, there's black businesses, there's black families, all here in Tallahassee. Then there's 2 huge universities, huge, 20,000, I mean, thousands of kids, ambitious, wanting to get into the world. FAMU is predominantly black. I haven't seen a single white person in there, but that's where I lived in their apartments for a while. And then FSU is blonde, as far as I can tell. It's kind of a joke, but not really. It's the only time I've ever seen like 13 blondes all in one walking group going down. What do you call that? Hmm. But FSU has its beautiful campus. Uh, Tallahassee gets people's attention when it's election time. There's a section in the middle called the Art Market where there's almost like a Brooklyn art district, but it's like 6 by 6 blocks, even less. Where I had a little wall I could play guitar in front of there, and just the fractal model of how do you reach the kids with what thoughts, and does it make any sense? And I'm the kind of, I'll step on a soapbox. I've done this before. And I've kind of been on this path since the 70s when I believed that this was what I was going to need to do. It felt like kind of a personal assignment in 6th grade. I picked it up. I was already at that point. I'd gone from going to a local parochial school in Queens, and in fourth grade I started commuting and ended up at that school where that's where I started rubbing with where John Kennedy had gotten kicked out. Um, and we played Dalton School in soccer, where Epstein. I just said his name. God damn it! I was trying to avoid that. Yeah, man, don't be mesmerized by that because it's not even representative of the elites. It's representative of some dark, and it's the ones that are into the finances, which is the darkest arts of the higher, And he even admits it's all hocus pocus in one of his. Uh, they got interviews. He says, "Yeah, we're." That's kind of interesting. There's a full revelation going on. Even if you want to be full materialite, from every three of the meta perspectives, I'm throwing in some new things as if I was Professor Mikey Yikes. Yikes. And I have a wizard's degree from community college, galactic. But I'm from the art planets where it's more casual and we try to have a good time and relax. And it's about aesthetics and style. And that makes it meaningful. It's how you love everything. Everything becomes art. And it really already is if you appreciate it right. But you make it too utilitarian and it loses its grace and magic. And you know what I'm saying with all the hard angles we got and all these harsh places in the city that aren't accommodating to human beings. We have a culture that's really perfected materialism. And that's kind of what needed to happen before we make the final pass into like whatever the next thing is. Jehovahite judgment, end of the world, heaven on earth. It's like, yeah, we've done enough ascensions. See how evolution works into this, even if you're believing in Jehovah. There's evolution. We've come to a place of higher understanding collectively. And then the one mind, one source Buddhites, where we are all connected to this one source. Jehovah's not condemning your soul. He's trying to guide us all to a place where we can all really share the meal, man. Jehovah himself is an actual individual as big as the cosmos. What does that mean? You're actually as big as the cosmos, but it's not your cosmos. It absolutely is. It's just how it is, man. We are who we are, but it's all magic and it's all, every one of us is the center, right? So I got all metaphysical. But we're meant to work this out. So back to projects on the ground. We got all these families, they all have small businesses, we all have debts. Right now, can we collectivize our debts and then talk to the government about what everybody owes in taxes? Who would be running such a thing? I think we're talking lawyers and accountants and everything. But now we're talking magical lawyers and accountants. And it's like they say, yeah, we'll collectivize all your debts and make it easier. And then you don't pay quite as much, but you're still paying us some. And that's one of the projects. Another project is you take a business right now, the people that build the hut that I live in. So they need food, they need clothing. What are the other local businesses that provide all the different things people need? And just start making arrangements so people can start doing a little inside. And the idea is just fractal models of this. And there's more aspects than just the economic relationships. There's the idea that we're trying to revive meaning and community and people working together, but in a meaningful way, so that we understand it's not all about just economics. And all of this is like documented as I'm documenting it right now. I almost had a meeting with my guy downtown today, but he was busy. We sat and talked for a while. So these things are going on YouTube, but it doesn't mean I'm trying to get a podcast going. I'm still looking for people to make things happen and trying to explain how different things can happen on the ground, wherever you are. But we're going to try to make it happen where I am, right here, Tallahassee, Crawfordville. And I can get in to see Trump, I believe so, and Elon Musk as well, if I follow through on the connections that I abandoned when I dropped out of Harvard and went into art school. But then I have some credibility as an activist, as a Green Party co-chair in New Mexico in 95, 97, when we first ran Ralph Nader. Both he and Jerry Brown respect me, but of course, they're retired and old guys. But the credentials to speak to the new political dynamic where we're trying to actually see if we can't come together on something, and it's not going to be talking to each other because people hate each other, but we can do something on the ground that makes sense. And new businesses that, like in the Maha tradition, which is to me the purple, that brings high values from the left to the high values of the right, which are to be accountable, to do it on the ground, to do it with less government, to not do handouts but opportunities. And in that way, we actually make things happen on the ground in the next 3 years, and maybe by then you've got enough influence to make something happen with that in the political arena, whether it's by pulling either one of the parties towards something more reasonable. I'm working with the right wing right now because that seems to be human beings. The Democrat Party looks like committees of unaccountables. I'm sorry to say. The Republican Party, at least, it's human beings and they're all diverse, and you can't make generalizations. But the Kennedy movement is real, and things are happening on the ground. And how you do that intelligently is a good place to start.